What's going on, guys? Top Tier Gaming here, and today I'm coming at you with an updated version of my No Game No Life deck. I made a couple changes to the original build, along with finalizing what the current build is and getting all the cards for it that I knew I wanted to play. And so yeah, just going to do an updated deck profile. This one's not going to be as in-depth as my first one. Try to keep it under 27 minutes, so we'll try to go through this one a little more quickly, still explain the cards, and make sure that everyone has a good understanding of why I'm running what I'm running, but hopefully it goes a little faster. So, starting off with level 0, 4 of this Shido runner. She's a runner, so we do play 4 of her. She's a really good runner for the set, because sort of like No Game No Life's gimmick is actually like information, and she provides a lot of that. She has the double top check, which is really useful for finding, like, adjusting your triggers and working with certain cards in your deck and helping you decide when to brainstorm. Very important parts about this card, but yeah, our runner, so we are going to just play 4 of it. Then 3 of this Sora. So he's a new addition. We weren't playing it before. We were playing the pay 1 discard drop search, which was good. But this deck's kind of stock intensive at level 1 and going into level 1, so I wanted to limit how much stock I was using, so I had as much as I needed going into my level 1 game. And this card is actually just really good. So on play you mill 2 cards. If there's a climax amongst them, he gains +2 soul. That's a good ability, whether you mill a climax or not, because mill effects are actually just good in Weiss for like adjusting your refresh count, making sure, and also just thinning for brainstorms and stuff like that. And then also on play, he top checks the top card of your deck. If it's a game character or an event, you can add it to your hand and discard a card. So he provides the same sort of hand filtering that the other drop search did, just with a lot more utility. And he should have been in my original build. He wasn't, but now he is, because yeah, he's just that good. 2 of this Jabril. So she also has an on play mill 2 effect. But if she hits a climax, you send the top card of your opponent's deck to waiting room and then put a character in the waiting room on top of their deck. If you happen to delete a climax with this card, you're just so far ahead in the damage game because they're playing with just 1 less climax than they should be. Very powerful effect. She also has on-play climax salvage, which is really good. These 5 cards together, I really like having like 5 mill 2 effects. One, you don't have like a free fresh in this deck, so we need to adjust how many cards you have, trying to get to like 3 or 4 cards in deck when you're going into your attack phase to make sure you either refresh perfectly or get the last climax that you played into your waiting room before refresh. The mill 2 effects are just really good for adjusting that. Also, your main way of gaining advantage in this deck is actually through brainstorming and walling your opponent. And these help with brainstormers so much because you can play these before you brainstorm. You're statistically more likely to hit characters than climaxes, and then you can brainstorm after it, making it sort of like a reveal 6 brainstorm. Of course, it depends what refresh you're on and what your current compression looks like, but you can use them like that, and it's really, really helpful for making sure your brainstorms go off. Speaking of brainstorms, 3 of this Steph. I'm going to move these back a little bit. So yeah, this is actually my favorite brainstorm in the set, but I want to talk about all the brainstorms I'm running together. So you have 3 of this Steph and 2 of this Shido. So as a brainstormer, just as a brainstormer herself, this one's the better card because she has a top deck scry, or like on play she checks the top and you can put it on top or bottom. That's really good information. Like, the whole set is about information, like I said, so that's really useful. Pretty much a reveal 5 brainstormer. But she has like no reason to stay in your back row after you use her, which is why like oftentimes I just move her back up or move her to the front row and then attack with her after I'm done brainstorming with her. The Steph has a reason to be in your back row like all game until like the final few turns, because she has an effect where if your character is reversing, you give another character you control +1k power. So besides gaining advantage through brainstorming, you can also like wall and save your characters and get +1s that way. So she's a brainstormer that's netting you advantage in multiple ways other than just brainstorming, which I really like. Some people don't like this Steph as much because you are running standby, so you usually want an open slot, and she's a tap 2 brainstormer while this is a tap self. But I feel like constantly leaving an open slot all game just for your standby is actually like a bad mentality to go into it, because you're technically hindering your deck, like just hoping you hit the standby trigger. So I usually use my standby trigger not always as a +1, although it is really nice when your standby is a +1, but I use it to upgrade my like certain cards into higher level cards, gain like field presence, and sort of gain momentum that way. So just depends how you use standby, I guess. And then 2 of this stuff. I was running 1 of her, but I just wanted to see her more often, so we upped her to 2. She's really good for getting the event. And yes, that's the level 0 game. So there's 16 zeros. A lot of people tend to say No Game No Life 0 game is kind of weak, and I don't think that's the case. Of course, power-wise, it's not like the strongest thing. We only hit 2-5 power, but this is a standby deck, so inherently you're going to have a level 1 on your field at level 0 sometimes, and there's a lot of ways to set that up. So you can reverse stuff at level 0, and like all these zeros are valuable like all game. Like all of these are good up until level 3. So your level 0 game provides a lot of utility, and that's what I really like about No Game No Life 0 game. On to level 1, we have 4 of this Shiro. She is the main climax combo we're playing at level 1. She's pretty much a stock charge that gives you a lot of information. You're never going to blind stock climaxes off of her, so that effect is really nice. She's also 6k base with a full field. She's pretty much the best climax combo for No Game No Life in my opinion, and that's why we're choosing to play her. We can't play the Kurumi because we're not playing green, and my issue with the Sora is that 1, you have to play shot trigger for him to be good, and then he's also very weak on defense. This you get to run pants, and you're not weak on defense, and part of the way I want to play this deck is to sort of wall my opponent, and this helps that idea a lot more than the level 1 Sora combo would. So next up is 3 of this stuff. We are playing standby. This is a 1175, so you definitely want to play this, because 1175 with hand on core is ridiculous, and you can bring it out at level 0, and it can actually stay on your board like all game until level 3. This thing is so big, you're running assists that make it bigger. Your opponent just has a really hard time reversing this. Next we have 1 of this anti-change backup. So like if anti-change is too powerful as a backup not to run, this anti-change is a level 1 anti-change backup, which I really like. Means if like you're still level 1, your opponent levels up to 2, you can still get rid of their early play level 3s. So yeah, if you have an anti-change, you are going to be running it in my opinion. And then 4 of this King event. This is the special card that I think makes No Game No Life unique as a set. You just want to see at least 2 to 3 of it by your level 3 game. It works with your level 3. You have the level 0 to add it. This is another card you can use to assist like your brainstorming. So you can pay 1 for it, and like you can reveal 2 cards, 1 to 2 cards. If you don't see a climax amongst them, you can like select the best card out of those, and you've pretty much dug 2 cards deeper to almost, like not guarantee, but you can assist your brainstormer in hitting a climax to gain more advantage. Just depends how you want to use this card. Pays out dirty stock that, you know, we want to make sure our stock is clean, so you can use this in a lot more ways than just its effect to pseudo brainstorm and get pieces. This is what I really like about the card. While also helping you break down walls because of the 500 assist it gives. That's it for level 1s. On to level 2. 2 of this stuff. This is my favorite, like, standby target, is what we're going to call it. A lot of people tend to want to play, like, the 2-2 Jabril or the 2-2 Shiro, and I think those cards are really bad, because essentially what you're doing is you're making your deck worse to make standby better. And again, I think that's just not a great mentality, because those Jabrils and Shiros that are 2-2, you don't want to draw them ever. They're really low value draws, because you don't really want to pay 2 stock for a standby target, so they can just sit in your hand being like very terrible. This card, however, is very high value in my opinion. So first of all, she's actually bigger than all of those 2-2s, being 10k on defense with a full field, which is great. And then on play, if you have a full field when you play her, she's a 2-1 originally, but you can put a game character in your waiting room into your stock. So she's a 2-0 10k. That to me is extremely high value. That's why I choose to play her as a standby target. Some people don't like her because she has to come in on a full field, and they're like, well, it's a standby deck, you probably shouldn't have a full field, so your standby gets the +1. Again, I don't necessarily agree with that mentality because I don't want to hinder my deck all game just to make standby a better trigger, when to me standby is already a good trigger for just adjusting your board and pushing your game state ahead. So yeah, 2 of this Steph because I think she's the best standby target and just a high value card in general. 2 of this Sora, he is still just as important as he was before. We've cut him down to 2 though. Well, technically my last build had 2, but I said I was adding a 3rd. I played it with 3rd for a while. I played it with a 3rd for a while. It was just too much oftentimes. He's still like the best standby target in my opinion. Or like the one I go for most often, especially at level 1. Because you can, with this card out at level 1, your 1/1 Steph is 8/5, your Shidos are 7k. Before any Steph brainstorming, like giving power. So you can just deny your opponent all their level 1 climax combos, get really big while your opponent. And he has a plus effect. We don't use it often, but it's there. And then 1 of this Shiro, she is a 2000 assist to level 3s in front. So we only play 1, even though she's just like, she's another Shiro name to go with this for your event. So you want both of these in your back row going to level 3. But because your level 3 combo standby, you just need this in waiting room when you're doing your level 3 combo, and you can get her out for free pretty much. And there you have it. Like, she doesn't have any value until level 3, which is why we don't play 2 of her as well as this. Like, we only play 1 and then 2, because she has no value unlike this until you hit your level 3. So don't need to see her anywhere except the waiting room when you hit level 3. So again, we can cut down on her number. And then on to level 3, 4 of this Steph, your main game ender. This is like such a good card. It's pretty much the only card I actually ever play at level 3. I just usually drop 3 of this unless I really need to heal. And you just try to win the game. If you have 2 or 3 king events in your memory, this is like such a free burn 2 or 3. Like, all you have to do for this climax combo is discard 2 cards, and then she gets big and does the burn damage. And on play, she +1s, like she replaces herself by looking at the top 3 cards, and you add a card, which not only helps you set up, but gives you just more advantage. And it makes her discard 2 cards to burn, almost like a discard 1 card to burn 2, which is like such a free, powerful burn. So I really like this card. The +1 on play is really good. Keep up your hand size. Of course, use her effect more consistently, so definitely playing 4 of the best game ender in the set. And then we do play 2 of this Jabril. She's the healer, and she also has a burn 1 effect, so we still want to make sure we have that option in the deck. I don't play her often, but she definitely does need to be there. There are many times you can be at 3/6 and you need her before refresh, situations like that. She's like the better standby target at level 2 in my opinion, because you don't need her climax combo. So she does have really good uses, and she's very important to play. Then we have 3 of this. Your anti-damage, still want to run this. Anti-damage is just a very powerful effect. If you set it up right all game, this card is just extremely powerful, just invaluable to make sure you don't lose. It does have its bad matchups, obviously. Some things like certain cards in certain decks don't even allow you to play backups, or they get around it entirely. But for the matchups where it is good, we definitely want to have it. So 9 level 3s. And then on to our climaxes. We are running 4 standby to combo with our level 3 Steph. Definitely need your standbys. It is a standby deck, so it plays a larger role than just being, the climax combo. And then 4 pants to combo with our Shiro. I think pant standby is just a really good combination, because you can add this to your hand off your pants, and it allows you to have your standby more often, which can get you pieces for your game state, like getting level 2s at level 1, obviously, stuff like that. Standby is one of the only climaxes that on play isn't a -1, this and 2k1s. So yeah, I feel like pantsing gets really good, and then pants is really good to make sure I have whatever climax combo I need. It's actually really good late game even, with your level 3 Steph, because it can just get you a quick +1 to your hand for Steph to discard, which I really enjoy. And yeah, so this was the No Game, No Life deck profile. Hope you guys enjoyed. This was just an updated profile and a less in-depth one in case you didn't want to watch the 27-minute profile. This now exists, so yeah. This was Top Tier Gaming. If you enjoyed the video, please leave a like. Check out my other content, and bye YouTube.